The second biggest spread of Wildcard week is the Packers versus Cowboys, and I can understand why the spread is as large as it is, but I think this game is going to be pretty close. And the biggest reason for that is when you think of the Cowboys, you think of a dominant pass rush, and they have that and then some with Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, etc. But the thing is, the Packers are very well equipped to protect against this dominant pass rush because no matter how you slice it, they rank very highly in all of the metrics for pass protection. In pass block win rate, which is the ESPN stat for pass protection, they are second best in that stat. And then in PFF's pass blocking grade, they are sixth best. So they are elite in every which way. And that's the first step you need to be able to handle the Cowboys. If you don't have a great pass protection, you're probably going to be in for a long day unless you just have elite receiving options that can get open in a second, because that's all you're going to have if you don't have that great protection. And speaking of weapons, the Packers have the weapons to go against this great secondary of the Cowboys as well. You have obviously Deron Bland, who has had a historic season this year with the most pick sixes in NFL history. Then Stephon Gilmore is no slouch himself. He's probably a top 3 secondary corner in football. So that's a great corner duo. But the Packers have Christian Watson, who can provide some attacking prowess on the outside. Then you have Romeo Doubs as well, another solid option. And then Jaden Reed is really going to be essential for the Packers because Jordan Lewis is okay, but he's probably more of a replacement level coverage player than he is anything else. He is exceptional as a run defender, actually, so he does provide that, but he is just not very good in coverage, and he's going to be lined up against Jaden Reed quite often, so Reed could be able to have some success against Lewis. With all that said, the Packers offense is going to be able to attack this Dallas defense with some proficiency. I don't expect the Packers to just wipe the floor with this Dallas defense because at the end of the day, it is tremendously talented. But you have all of this great talent in addition to Jordan Love being a top 5 quarterback for basically the entire second half of the season. And if you want to look at it holistically, Jordan Love was about a top 10 quarterback for the season. So he was great in any way you look at the season, but especially as of lately. And if I'm Dallas, I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I also like how Dallas matches up with the Green Bay defense because basically everything Green Bay struggles with, Dallas naturally wants to attack anyways. Green Bay really gives up a lot of short yardage plays. If you follow ThatFranchiseGuy on YouTube, he'll tell you Joe Barry is a frustrating defensive coordinator for that very reason. He plays extremely passively. And the Cowboys, they'll eat you up with dinking and dunking. If they can, they'll do 20 slants to CeeDee Lamb. And they'll have no issue with that. They'll have success with it because Lamb is a great route runner and he's also great after the catch. So you're not just going to get, 5 yards from the slant. You're going to get those 5 yards and then you're going to get 6 after the catch as well. And Brandon Cooks is going to have success against Carrington Valentine as well. So there is a lot of success through the passing for Dallas because Keyshawn Nixon, I didn't mention, he is going to be lined up against CeeDee Lamb a lot of the time. And Nixon is also in that replacement level sort of territory. He's about average, maybe a little bit below average as a nickel corner. So there is going to be a lot of success to be had for Dallas. The one thing that I'd be a little bit nervous for them is Rashawn Gary is an elite pass rusher. He is one of the approximately 40 elite pass rushers in the NFL this year. There are just so many to pick from. It's so hard to really key into any one pass rusher because there are just so many elite ones. But Rashawn Gary is elite as well, and he is going to have a field day against Terrence Steele, who is one of the worst pass protecting tackles in football. So I think there is some reason to be a little bit nervous for Dallas, but if they get the ball out quickly enough, it won't really matter. Rashawn Gary is a freak, but he can only get it in so quickly. Lamb might be separating before the pressure comes in. So with all this said, what do I think is going to be the deciding factor? I think that the boxing term styles make the fight is very relevant in this game because Dallas is not going to have any issue playing any sort of way in this game. Offensively, they're going to be playing how they want to, and defensively, they're good enough that even if it's not necessarily the most effective way to play against the opponent, they're good enough that they'll be able to play in the man coverage heavy way that they want to play. So, yes, Bland might get beaten by Watson on some plays, and Lewis might get beat by Reed on some instances, but I think that Dallas has a good enough defense that they'll be able to cover just fine for the most part. And this pass rush, though I typically adhere to the belief that a good pass protection is going to outweigh good pass rush, this pass rush for Dallas is filthy. And I think they'll still have times that they'll be able to make Jordan Love's day miserable. And I didn't even touch upon Dak Prescott. He's been elite all year. Jordan Love really came on the second half of the season, but Dak Prescott has been elite for the entire year. He's been at a minimum a top 5 quarterback, probably closer to top 2 or top 3 for the year. So I have faith that Dallas will be able to win this, but I think this is going to be a very close game. And I think if they cover the 7 points that Vegas has given them, it's going to be a sort of late game cover where it just comes on with a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. I think this game is going to be close all the way through.